Can you recall a time when you cried out to heaven in complete desperation, when anguish had pushed you beyond what you could bear? That is exactly where I found myself when I prayed the prayer that powerfully changed my life. Lord, I cannot bear this anymore. My ways are dust, my plans vapor. Father, only you sustain me. Jesus, be my refuge. Today I want to be transparent and share how surrendering through that raw, honest prayer utterly transformed my perspective and trust in God during a painful trial. For many years I had endured a personal hardship that left me emotionally shipwrecked. I constantly felt battered by waves of anguish, confusion, and despair. I kept striving in my own feeble strength to change or control this excruciating circumstance. You see, I had this constant, almost panicked need to grasp the steering wheel and navigate the storm myself. I was terrified to relinquish control fully to God. I reasoned, if I let go of the reins, then nothing will go right. I need to manage everything. So I continued attempting to direct the course alone, relying entirely on my limited human perspective and strength. But all these exhaustive efforts just left me depleted, anxious, and desperately drained. Late one sleepless night, after another day of fruitless striving and distress, I hit my breaking point. I literally had no strength left to continue holding everything together myself. All my frenetic efforts had only led to more confusion and chaos. As I paced and cried out in the darkness, the futility of clinging so tightly to my ways overwhelmed me. In that moment of peak brokenness, I knew deep down that I could not withstand the battering storm alone any longer. So finally, I collapsed in surrender through heaving sobs. With absolutely no energy left to carry the burden independently, I called out from the depths of my soul, Lord, I cannot bear this anymore. My ways are dust, my plans vapor. Father, only you sustain me. Jesus, be my refuge. And instantly I sensed the powerful presence of God enveloping and uplifting me. It was as if Christ had been waiting eagerly for me to relinquish my stubborn grip on control, so he could intervene mightily. In praying those words, Jesus, be my refuge, I envisioned his strong and loving arms wrapping securely around me. I felt his warmth and peace permeate every fiber of my exhausted, anguished being. As I fully yielded outcomes and direction to God in that prayer, it was like Jesus gently pried open my fingers that had been clinging so rigidly to self-reliance. I finally abandoned my need for autonomy and allowed his sovereign will to govern my life. In that pivotal moment, as I sincerely prayed, Lord, I cannot bear this anymore, my flimsy human understanding was eclipsed by his eternal perspective and purpose. Waves of unspeakable hope and comfort washed over my soul. I instantaneously became assured that this situation was no surprise to Christ. In his wisdom, he had purpose in allowing me to walk through this deep valley, and he could absolutely redeem every hurt for good, no matter how hopeless and broken it felt in the moment. My friend, uttering that desperate, trusting prayer completely revolutionized my outlook. It shifted my focus from the storm swirls to the eyes of Jesus walking before me on the waves. For the first time, I fixed my gaze on his strength rather than the severity of my circumstances. Surrender through that prayer anchored and stabilized me when everything felt off-kilter and out of control. For so long, I had clung stubbornly to steering my own course, even as that path led to exhaustion and futility. But finally admitting, Lord, I cannot do this anymore, opened the door for divine intervention. His power working mightily through my weakness. My tired striving ceased as I fully relinquished the weights into his supremely capable hands. Without realizing it, I had repeatedly viewed surrender as synonymous with defeat, but sincerely praying, Jesus, be my refuge, showed me that yielding to God was actually where true victory began. While letting go of the steering wheel felt unnerving at first, the eternal reward of surrender was genuinely priceless. Every time intense fear or despair arose, I was able to call out, Lord, I cannot bear this, and feel his comfort restore and uplift me. Uttering that prayer became like an anchor for my soul when circumstances felt overwhelming. It gave me renewed perspective and confidence, even amid churning chaos. I didn't need to have the full picture or blueprint. I just needed to surrender fully and walk the path obediently one step at a time, with Christ leading the way. What stunning transformation occurs when we abandon our ways to align with heaven's plans. As I surrendered through prayer, the master craftsman began over time to reshape my tangled mess into something beautiful. He did not immediately remove the hardship, as I had prayed so long for him to do, but he lovingly drew near and granted me strength to withstand each crashing wave. My pleading shifted from, "Jesus, take this cup of suffering away," to simply, "Lord, help me bear whatever you allow today." I discovered the safest place on earth is to be completely nestled into the sovereign hands of God. Even when storms still arise, you abide in peace, knowing Jesus walks the waves beside you. The ship cannot sink with him as captain. Our security comes not from calm seas, but from the flawless guide who authors the voyage. While relinquishing control often feels quite daunting, its eternal reward is genuinely priceless. The very real presence and strength of Christ himself welling up inside us. When we whisper through tears, "Lord, I cannot," he responds mightily, "My child, you cannot, but I can. I will sustain you." We must yield our deepest pains fully into those capable hands through trusting prayer. Then in his impeccable timing, God exchanges our ashes for beauty, mourning for joy. He pours his strength into our weakness. Friend, I hope my journey of surrender speaks to you. We all face seasons when anguish or uncertainty threatens to pull us under, and in those dark valleys, the adversary often whispers lies that God is distant, unable, or unwilling to deliver you. Please know these are deceptions. You have a Savior who cares deeply and collects every tear you cry. You are never alone. He truly does catch you when you finally release everything into his loving arms through prayer. No matter how fiercely the winds rage, Jesus stands ready to speak peace and calm to your heart. But first you must choose to relinquish control completely to him. Stop trying to steer a sinking vessel in your own deficient strength. Acknowledge through honest prayer that you have reached the absolute end. "Lord, I cannot bear this anymore." Then watch his redemption power manifest mightily as you surrender the helm fully to him. Cry out along with me, "My ways are dust, my plans vapor. Father, only you sustain me. Jesus, be my refuge." Declare now with unshakable conviction that surrender to God always precedes breakthrough. As you yield your deepest anguish to the one who understands suffering completely, he floods your soul with unspeakable hope, not superficial positivity, but abiding joy and strength. His grace renews those who surrender fully. This was the great lesson I learned through praying that raw, vulnerable prayer exactly when I could endure no more. I know the same awaits you. His mercy meets us when we finally lay it all down in complete, trusting surrender through prayer. My friend, we can spend a lifetime clinging to self-reliance and never witness God's awesome power. But when we wholly submit our ways to his will, we open the floodgates for redemption. Surrender is where genuine transformation begins. It lifts our vision from the temporal to the eternal. Won't you pray in full surrender with me now? "Lord, I cannot bear this anymore. My ways are dust, my plans vapor. Father, only you sustain me. Jesus, be my refuge." Keep repeating this as you release everything fully into his hands. Then watch with expectancy how he shapes the outcome for good. I am cheering you on as you courageously pray the prayer that will change your life. He is faithful.